Breaking through the chains, breaking through the wall. Ungovernable energy, watch the empire fall. Crashing in the norm, shedding no beliefs. Seeking truth and purpose, finding inner peace. Unleashing our potential, setting our souls free. Ungovernable spirits, changing our reality.
Here we go. We are live. Again, yes. Yeah. Coming at you every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. I am Matt, and this is, as she chokes down some water.
So I don't cough. Jocelyn.
Yeah. Jocelyn is dying slowly next to me this evening. So she's
put that out there.
She's getting the Purple Heart for this evening's production. This is Ungovernable. So if you haven't checked us out before, we talk about spirituality, open-mindedness, conspiracy theories.
Ooh, yeah, we do.
Yeah. Anything and everything is fair game on this show. And the key is to keep an open mind so that other people can't close it and control you with it. So
that was a nice way to say it.
Yeah,
you mentioned, what is the one line in that little song you
organically
played that you like so much?
What? Oh, I like the Bring Down the Empire.
Bring Down the Empire.
Yeah. So in the hold music before the intro video, we have a theme song that got worked up by, and this was inspired by this past week's episode of The High Wire with Del Bigtree, which is probably going to get us a strike on YouTube just for saying that name. But
no, well, and he was against it, but he played the theme song on it.
No, but so
I don't know.
Yeah, so he introduced Suno, Suno, which is basically an AI bot that generates like music and stuff, and you can query it. It's okay, like it's not like amazing.
It was way better than I thought, but then it all sounds the same. All of it's a little bit elevator like.
Yeah. Let us know what you think about it. I will play the full version like at the end of the interview and the episode this evening, and you can get a full taste of it. But so that being said, let us know. And obviously, we're very skeptical of AI and things like that, especially when tyrants and elites are telling you that that's the future, and we're like, hold on a second, text. But anyway, that being said, all right, we have a fantastic guest this evening. We already have the wine broken open, so
I told you we should have got a second bottle.
And by we, I mean I. So the wine this evening is we got a little bit of a
Blue Frank and Partner. That is so cool.
Blue Frank and Partner. I don't
it's
know
also Dry Farm wines.
Yes,
that's all of our wines.
I don't know who Blue Frank is, but it is from Vineland. Is that Germany? Vineland.
No, that's a W.
Yeah, but anyway, it's 52% Zweigelt and 48% Blaufränkisch.
All right.
Yeah, so I can tell you it's pretty good. I've
really
already
good.
had a glass of it.
I had a sip of it.
All right, so you can go ahead and pour it. I'm going to intro our guest. So he has been waiting very patiently.
I'm pouring myself more.
You're like off camera here. I got to get you into it. All right, so our guest has been waiting very patiently. It is Michael from Copperhead Hill Farms in the beautiful state of Michigan, and we're going to talk about food. Jesus Christ! Wait, hold on. This is that
because you had a class already.
This is feminism in the 21st century right here. All right. So, without further ado, with that introduction, here is Michael, dude.
You guys are killing me. I'm doing well. I don't know if I'm backstage. I don't know if I should be laughing, if I should be quiet. I'm
laughing's okay. And angry, I'm worried about.
No, you guys are killing me. Killing me, Smalls.
Dry Farm wines. Have you ever heard?
I have not. No,
They're
I
like
have not.
organic, dry irrigation wine. I was just wondering
No
because of the
kidding.
farm thing. But it's like, and all their wineries or the vineyards, they all only do dry farm wines. I don't know, but they're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, like small vintners
They
and
should
that kind of thing.
freaking pay us. Is
But-
what I'm saying.
Well,
Every week.
Sponsor.
yeah. I like money.
Oh yeah. Right. I hear it.
So
I
that
hear it.
being said, what's very interesting is I see the white nectar that you're drinking.
Yes.
Part of the reason why we have you on is because
Right.
we had been talking about, or at least I had brought up raw milk on a prior live cast, and
Right.
you guys seemed to be in the comments, which was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
really quickly, who is Copperhead Hill Farms? Obviously, it's your baby, or you and Carrie. What is it? Where are you? And what do you do?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, thank you guys so much for having us on the podcast, having me, allow me to bump my gums and talk about ourselves and converse with you guys. So we greatly appreciate that. But about us, we are Copperhead Hill Farms. We originated or started after both of us. We are dual Marine Corps vets, reformed, no longer subscribed to all of that. To everything that goes with that. But we started farming after we got out of the Marine Corps, looking for somewhere and something to do to continue that active servitude that we really cherish and that we hold to ourselves. So it started originally from Copperhead itself. We started off as Black Sheep Farmstead. As natural as it comes, we are the black sheep in many different ways, and we can go into that, talk about that throughout the show. But then from there, we kind of evolved or outgrew, per se, Black Sheep Farmstead. Kind of felt limiting to it, or there was some limitations to it, so we wanted to expand and grow. And from there, Copperhead came to light from basically the song Copperhead Road by, I'm drawing a blank on his freaking name right now.
I'm looking it up right now.
I was going to look it up. You can, whatever.
I believe.
Steve Earle.
Yeah, Steve Earle. Yep. And in there, it talks about there's a line where it says that they came up with a brand new plan, and that was basically to make a pot farm. We're not doing a pot farm, but
still illegal in many
yeah,
states,
right.
though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, you can't get raw milk in New Jersey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually,
you can get it. But you can't.
That's an interesting point. In New Jersey, weed is legal and raw milk is not. What the F?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, you can get it, but it's not. Yeah, it has to come from elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Carrie is originally from New Jersey too. That's where Black Sheep Farmstead started. So we got out of the military and we went to New Jersey. But because it's Commeyville, we had to get out of there as soon as possible. But yeah, so then where was I? We started this farm. We had this new plan. We're out of the military, ready to do something new. And long story long, I mean, it ended up being that we basically, in a legal sense, we have turned raw milk into like essentially moonshine. So we run raw milk, and as of right now, that is our bread and butter. That's where a lot of our focus, our energy, you name it. It is a 24/7 operation between the two of us, me and Carrie. And on top of all the other duties and responsibilities we do, I work outside of the farm as well. And Carrie mans the fort, homeschools, cooks, cleans, you name it, all of that stuff. So she is superwoman. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
So yeah. And then that leads us up to here. I mean, there's a whole lot of nitty gritty in between that, but I'm all for cracking that open.
I'm just going to say, I wonder how many homeschoolers use like the big mason jar as their top.
This is all we have. This is it.
That is
the
ever.
staple. Yep. This size. This is specifically my size, and then the kids have the smaller.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Those are what we drink our stuff.
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's the environment with raw milk in Michigan? I mean, you likened it to moonshine. Is it really like so? Just give some kind of context to people. We follow like some of the story outlines out there with like, say, like Amos Miller and stuff
Right.
that's happened with, some of the Amish farmers that use more traditional farming methods, which
Yep,
obviously doesn't involve pasteurization and that kind of stuff.
Right.
What's the like regulatory legal environment in Michigan? And I obviously don't want you to like out yourself or whatever, but I mean,
No,
like,
yeah.
is it
It's not
any-
New Jersey because they moved there from New Jersey.
well, no, I mean, like, how
Right,
different is it
yeah.
from other states?
So as far as I'm aware, so Michigan it is illegal to sell raw milk.
Okay.
What?
And, yeah, illegal. But that being said, herd shares are allowed.
Mm.
Allowed. So
Ah.
because
That's the way
of
Amos
that,
Miller runs it.
I think,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in order to bypass that, we have, and I don't know if even bypass is the correct word, but in order to get around that or allow people to allow us to offer raw milk to the community, we utilize herd shares. And herd shares is just, for those that don't know, it's basically you're just buying a portion or a share of however the contract is worded, but it's a share of the farm, share of the
Yeah, it's like crop
cows, share
shares,
of the,
right?
yeah, exactly, right.
Farms have crop like CSAs.
Yes, yeah, basically, it's like a co-op or a CSA type of a deal. But it in order to make it legal and legit, we bring in contracts, we bring in documents, legal documents, and then also we teamed up with the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund. They helped us manufacture our whole contract. So this way, in the black and white area, we're at least covered as well. So yeah, and then other states, I have not looked recently because mainly our focus is obviously just Michigan. But I mean, some states it's completely there. No herd shares allowed. For retail of raw milk is completely illegal, and so on and so forth.
Easy.
Yeah, and some other states allow raw milk to be pet milk. Like it can be sold, but it has to be offered and labeled as pet milk.
Feed your animals.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So it's quite silly, honestly, when you get down to it. But at least where we're at in Michigan, we have the opportunity and the ability to offer herd shares. So that's been really good.
Do you know if raw milk it's not illegal in like Europe, or do you know if I don't even know?
Last I heard in one of my many online debates about raw milk, I heard that in Europe it's actually illegal. I didn't confirm that, but from people that I was who I was debating with, they were from across the pond. And they were saying that, there's a reason why raw milk's illegal and blah, blah, blah. So I'm assuming that's the case.
Yeah. When I think of that, like cows in England, I think of mad cow disease.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, is
totally different.
already been completely debunked as a.
I wonder if they use that, though.
Well, no, they
absolutely
use whatever they can, right?
Absolutely. It's all propaganda.
Yeah. Let's ask you, like, logistically,
Okay.
as far as raw milk goes, the government and the tyrannical types will tell you, oh, we need certain type of pasteurization and certain types of kind of like processes in order to like kill bacteria and other pathogens that might make its way into the milk and therefore be consumed by humans and make them sick. Right. What does that risk actually look like? And then what do you all do? Like, I mean, are there certain precautions that you do take in terms of like, cross-contamination or something like that with the product?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, obviously across the board, government advocates and the big propaganda machine, especially, I mean, if you're familiar with the Got Milk campaign, that was very popular in the 90s, early 2000s, I believe.
The white mustache.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the white mustache. That was all just big milk, big ag, pushing pasteurized milk. And lobbyists that are trying to help their big milk buddies.
Yep.
But that obviously, like I'm saying, it was the point of, or on the back burner, or however you want to phrase it, was just with the ideal that you should drink pasteurized milk, and raw milk isn't safe, and so on and so forth. It was like a look over here type of thing, while where raw milk was making a comeback, or the underground grassroots type of people were trying to scream louder than the propaganda machine. But so yeah, going from there, obviously the norm is the norm. I say that as a dryer setting, but the norm is to have it pasteurized. As far as what we do, clearly we don't do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise that would defeat the purpose of the liquid gold that is raw milk. What we do, and what we've been able to establish, especially with our growing herd share and our ability to grow, the key components that allow us to keep really clean and healthy milk, and nothing's bulletproof, but for the most part, it has to do with our process at and during milking with the cow, and then also after in processing. So during the process of milking, we have certain practices and procedures that really allows us to make sure when we're going down into the actual process of milking the cows and them giving us the milk, we're just making sure everything's clean, make sure everything's properly sanitized, and not with harsh chemicals or harsh like industrial type of chemicals. We just use like a standard milk commercial dairy type of cleaner that you use on the teats. You clean the teats, you clean the bag, and make sure you have nice sparkling clean bag, nice sparkling clean teats before you go. And from there, I mean, you've already addressed half of the problem. Is right there. Is just most of the issues that you come from is just from clean or lack of proper care during the milking process. And then the biggest part after that, I shall say, is instant and rapid chilling. And that has to happen very quickly, because if you don't, that milk is naturally, it's a living product. Yeah. So it is going to living organism. I shouldn't say product. It's naturally wants to break down. So the proteins will start to break down after a certain amount of time, with it not being refrigerated. So we have a bulk stock chill tank, and that as soon as we're done milking, we bring the milk up from the barn, and it goes right into our chill tank, and it's immediately starts to chill and go down to a certain temperature to allow it to be stable. And so this way it doesn't start to transform into yogurt and other things, whatever raw milk wants to change into. So I would say those.
Oh, I was going to say we're very holistic. So I know lots of people who get raw milk in this state.
Good. Beautiful.
We don't drink milk personally, but I totally, and we did a moment with.
You guys don't drink raw milk? Oh,
well, no. So we don't do dairy at all, though. But
we would have to drive literally to like Eastern PA.
Wait,
no kidding.
To tell our story, maybe you can answer to this.
Okay.
You're looking at me. No. We did do raw milk for a while, and we drove to a farm in Pennsylvania, and we would drive, and my kids and I were horrified at how the cows were being kept. Like there were so many like pustules and things on their faces, and it was like things were oozing, and
it wasn't a
really
good experience.
Scary,
but
so we stopped.
Okay.
And then we stopped eating dairy altogether.
Well, that's like that's a function of like what we have available to us, right?
Okay. Are you guys familiar with?
Yeah, from that standpoint, it's like we had to make a decision as to whether or not we were going to continue to only, consume the commercially produced like knockoff of what milk is, right? Or
I hear that.
Like continue to go to that location, which literally was what it took you an hour and
it took me like an hour
45 to get there or something.
Hour
like
and 30 or something.
I mean, like round trip, it's like 3.5, 4 hours.
But it was it seemed really unsanitary to me, and and then it was like, and I'm sure you're not like that, but we would get it, and it was like my kids we would just go pick it up and come home, and the raw milk was fantastic. It was so yummy. It was so it was clean tasting, and I had no problem with the milk itself.
Yeah.
But then one day my kids were like, we want to meet the cows. And so I said, could we take them back there and meet the cows? And it was like the saddest thing ever, because they all had bleeding from places, and
oh man,
calves were being held away and banging their heads against things. And
meanwhile, we've never brought our kids to meet commercial dairy cows.
Yeah,
I know, it's probably way better. I mean, for real.
Right.
But so then they didn't want to have it, and they didn't want to do it. But I understand, and I know the benefits of both raw cow milk and raw goat milk. And I know so many people who, and I guess that now it's getting better in New Jersey, where people can, because this was years ago. This was 10, 11, 12 years ago. But now they have more share. They do shares like that. And everyone will meet up and get their share. So now it would probably be easier.
That actually raises a important distinction here too, I think. The push for pasteurization has always hit me as obviously something that appeals to give commercial dairies the advantage, right, compared to local family-owned operations. And the reason being is because of shelf life. And so they want that milk to be able to be shelf stable without any issues for a week, 2 weeks, right?
Absolutely, right.
Whereas I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, most of your share owners, I don't want to call them customers, most of your share owners are probably consuming within a couple of days of the actual milking the animal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course, yeah. Maybe even that. I mean, we have a wide variety of members. Some half shares, which half shares like a half gallon. Then we have almost all the way up to 4 gallons with some families. So it varies family by family. But to your point exactly is that pasteurization only exists essentially because of for a few factors. Just because, as you were saying, the shelf life, but also they put that milk into a giant vat, and it's going to sit there. So because of and what we are so big against is the factory farming and the commercial farming aspect of things. We believe that we need to return back to our roots in the sense of everyone should have their a little bit of skin in the game. Whether that means you're growing your own food, you're raising your own food, whatever the case may be, we should have how it used to be with small farms or homesteads on every corner. But we've kind of gone backwards in the sense of now we have, instead of Bob, Jim, Jerry, Larry, Mary, so on and so forth, that all produce their own food on the same street. Now we have 4 farmers or 4 farms that try to feed the whole world.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure Conagra is going to take care of all of us with all of our best interests in mind.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Right. Right.
And what's interesting about raw dairy is I think people who have dairy allergies think raw is something that they can drink.
Well, let the expert. What are the advantages of raw milk?
Okay, so I mean, it is too long to list. Honestly, the raw milk is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. At the surface level, it is one of the most nutritious, bioavailable foods that we as humans can ingest. And from there, you start to again going on with onions. There's nothing but layers. You have so many different more aspects that come from drinking raw milk. So just as what a big component that I like to harp on, if you will. So just as a mother, when she's nursing her infant, provides antibodies to her child, cows can do the same thing. So to me, just with that point alone, that even in the transition, so how we can go from babies to stop nursing and then still have the capability or the ability to drink milk that will allow us to strengthen our immune systems and better our health, I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. Because it's true. Like, no matter if you look throughout history, especially in recent times with COVID, during COVID, there was tons of articles that were getting throttled down, and I mean, whether it was independent or whatnot, but it was along the lines or phrasing like, is COVID or is raw milk making COVID essentially? Like, is it taking? What am I trying to say? Is I've lost my train of thought. Is COVID or is raw milk good for COVID? And whatever reason it may be that those articles were suppressed or throttled down, but it makes sense because literally cows were giving people that had raw milk or in the presence of raw milk, it was giving them antibodies. So, I mean, whatever your view is on COVID and during that time, it's
that's an interesting take because
there were lots of things that were
suppressed. Hold on until like I know I'm shooting way past, and I'm sure there's tons of other things like bioavailability of nutrients.
And it's super,
But so anyway, hold on. In the conspiracy theorist realm, okay,
right.
The one example that most people know, again, from government schools, because those are fantastic and they teach everyone how to think really great. Is vaccines came from cowpox that were basically smeared onto, revolutionary soldiers that then gave them some acquired immunity against smallpox, right?
Right.
And so what would be interesting would be to see someone, if there is research, maybe there's already research out there like this, that basically points to, say, cattle being exposed to something like cowpox, and then the nurse or the lactating
being able to
cows
immune response,
being able to give some kind of indirect immunity or some kind of support that way through.
That's interesting.
Through raw milk,
and it's definitely real, for sure. So look into it. It's because no matter what, in times of history, if you're familiar with the milkmaids during, I forget what time period, but then when the whole smallpox thing was breaking out, it was the milkmaids that, because of their interaction with the cows, being around the cows, drinking the milk, so on and so forth, they were immune and had antibodies already from, and because of from the smallpox, while everybody else was just, SOL. Those milkmaids were thriving and surviving. And I mean, to this day, those studies are done from that time period because of such.
How many cows do you have at your farm?
Right now we have 17.
Do you name them?
Oh, absolutely.
You name them. I get raw milk from a farm that names their cows. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. We name every single one. We believe, I mean, coming from a family that, a spiritual family, if you will, we believe in God. We believe that Christ is our savior, and we believe that he is the creator of all things. So it's just our responsibility as stewards of these animals to treat them with respect. And one of those ways is by giving them names. And it's not a big deal, but we just don't, even for like sometimes like with our beef cows, we had Little Dinner, who was that was his name. But but for the most part, like our milk cows, they all have names. As a little gag in our little farm store, this year we had stockings with each one of the girls' names on it.
Just for reference, like the dairy farm I went to is upwards of 60 or 70 cows.
Oh wow! That did raw milk?
Yeah.
Really?
They were all in these contraptions and.
Hold on 1 second. I think they also sold some raw milk, but they also sold pasteurized milk as well, right?
I don't know.
I think they had both offerings.
They might have.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they were trying to like keep one foot on either side of the line.
So like that, 100%. If we had a farm that was close to us that we could do a share with, where it was like 17 cows, and I knew the names of the cows, stop. I would go for that. I would go for that because I know you love them then, and I'm like, okay.
I don't know. I don't know how much TV you watch, Michael, but have you ever heard of the series Portlandia?
No, I've not. No.
So like
I'm basically Amish, man. So you got to work with me.
you're better off. You're better
right,
off.
Right.
I can tell you that I've consumed more than my and your fair share of media and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so there was a show where like the very first episode, it's like a skit comedy show. You were telling me
this the other day.
And it's obviously a very kind of left slant because it's supposed to be like Portland, Oregon, right? Like, but it's Portlandia is the name of it. And the first episode kind of like pokes fun at like farm to table. And so a couple goes to a restaurant and they're like, how's the chicken? Is it like locally raised and organic and hormone free and everything? And the waitress is like, yes, yeah, we know the farmer and it's right down the street. And she's like, I don't know. And she's like, hold on. And she goes over and she gets a binder and she puts the binder down in front of her and she goes, this is Bessie, and Bessie's who you're going to be eating.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think what's funny is, or not funny, I think what's like kind of a misconnect is, so we've spent time in like the plant-based vegan world. We've spent time before that. We were like omnivore and didn't really kind of like question too much. You've always been grossed out by like red meat and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like
we've always been, I feel like we've always been,
oh my goodness.
but hold on.
We've always been organic. We've always been non-GMO. We've always been locally, like vegetables and stuff local.
So I think the vast majority, not all, but I think the vast majority of arguments that are made by, say, like which by the way, we've been talk about Black Sheep Farms. We've been excommunicated from every single social group we've ever been a part of.
Literally us.
Yeah. I think the vast majority of vegan arguments are neutralized if we lived in a world that had more farms like yours. Right. Yeah. I think the environmental impact is lower. And I think the animal welfare piece of it, as well as I think the quality of the actual food is so much greater than in other instances, especially when you talk about like CAFOs and things like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. And this is on our website too. We go into the story a little bit, but at some point, a little bit before COVID, we were in this type of burnout. Well, it's probably a little bit before that. Before we really started to get serious about, at that time, it was Black Sheep. We were at this fork in the road where we kind of were entertaining the same thing with veganism. Just because we were so against factory farming and so against commercialized and industrial farming that we were trying to figure out and justify a means to an end. And what at that time, we thought it was veganism. So we tried it for a little bit, like you were saying, but it wasn't it, and it wasn't the impact that we thought or we were trying to make. And then, essentially, us being ourselves and who we are, we had to make and be the change that we wanted to be. So it became personal, and we took on factory farming, in a sense, to try to show and lead the way. Or be whatever, because this is a movement. This is happening all across America, essentially. But because of that, and what commercial farming truly is, and factory farming
really awful.
It's really, really bad. And having seen it firsthand in person in different types of scenarios, that's why we had to take the training wheels off, and we had to go full speed. And then that's where we are today. And now it's been a hustle. It's been a grind ever since. But I wouldn't change it. Absolutely not. And I have more.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, yeah. More people need to do it. We need more people, as we frequently say with other people amongst this community, we need to starve the system. And in order to do that, we ourselves, the people, need to start going back, returning to our roots, as we say, returning to your roots, and go back to the way that we used to do things. Because as soon as we can take control back over or from of our food, we'll be back in control.
Oh my God. There's like basic building blocks of like life, right?
Yeah.
They're like housing, healthcare, food, and money.
Absolutely.
Right. And faith or spirituality or whatever you want to call it. Right?
Yeah.
If you have control over those 5 things, then you can actually live free. Whereas when other people control one or multiple of those, like you're a slave. I mean,
yeah. And that's it. And that's why that's where we were at, and that's where we started, where we're trying to continue.
Well, it's funny because there's such a push right now against farms and small farms, and
but it's because we're a threat. We're a force to be reckoned with, and no matter what, I mean, you cut one of us out, there's 3 more that will take our place. Well, regardless, or at least hopefully takes our place. And that's why we're trying to, again, why I'm thankful that we get to be on podcasts like this, because we can spread this message of self-sustainability. And while it may be hard and it may be difficult, you can do this. You can grow and raise your own food, or if you can't, you can support those that do.
Yeah. And it's like that rebellious act. And it feels
right. Absolutely.
I got to be honest. The planter that's in front of my house that has the strawberry patch that's coming back for the second year.
Go out and get their
own a giant middle finger to the establishment. I love
that's it. Right?
Yeah,
that's it. and that's what we are trying to get people to realize. So I get it all the time. People are like, "Well, I live in an apartment. What am I supposed to do?" Go to a farm store. They have those tiny little chicken coops. You can put it on your balcony and have 3 chickens of your own on your balcony.
Bro, we have freaking local ordinances and all kinds of
ridiculous
square footage requirements and all this other stuff. And quite frankly, I'm like, at the end of the day, like I'm pretty sure. Wow, I don't know if I want to say this on YouTube, but anyway, I could put a little bit of resistance. Let me put it that way. It's like I can't even begin to imagine like how we got to a place where someone could tell you
chickens, just not our town,
what you can do with your land. Like that doesn't.
We have a story about a fence.
Oh,
no, but I mean it's crazy.
Yeah, no, but so that actually leads me to another question. Beyond dairy products, are you producing anything else? So like, do you have free range chickens and stuff like that you also have?
Oh yeah,
right now.
Absolutely. Before we go there, because I'm gonna forget, alluding to your question, you had said that people that can drink raw milk, there's usually a higher statistic that people can drink raw milk. That's very true. Yeah. If you look at Weston A. Price Foundation, it's essentially, so it's not that people can't drink milk most of the time.
It's the process of the pasteurized.
It's actually the pasteurized milk that is so essentially they're taking a living organism. They're flashing it with a certain type of degree of temperature for a certain amount of time. And then it's killing and decreasing the nutritional value, the protein, and the enzymes that help for digesting it. Yeah. So when someone that ingests that pasteurized milk, they have a reaction. 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10, it's not actually them being intolerant to dairy. It's that because a foreign substance has entered their body, which should be living, which should be coded as a bioavailable food source. It's not. It's a enemy, and then the body triggers a response in a sense to eject it or reject it. So that being said,
it's an incredible product, because there was a guy who's on I don't know if you follow the High Wire, but there was a guy on the High Wire who had was it Crohn's disease?
Crohn's disease.
He had really bad Crohn's disease.
It was goat's milk.
And so he drank raw goat milk kefir.
Eggs. Eat raw eggs.
And eats now he eats like almost everything raw, which is like crazy compared to like.
And he healed it 100%.
That's the way to do it, though.
But he was like, my body couldn't, for various reasons, whether it was environmental or whatever happened in his past, my body couldn't process certain things that I was taking in. And so he said, I needed my food to be as highly bioavailable as possible when it came to my body.
I forget his name. But I can tell you, I have a friend whose son is had so many allergies, and it wasn't raw cow milk, but they ended up using, like, I want to say camel milk.
Okay, yeah.
That allowed the carrier of bringing certain things and healing his gut in a way that
Absolutely.
all of these major allergies are gone. So we have no idea. I mean, you just think about breast milk. Listen, I'm sure you're Carrie breastfed a lot of kids.
All the babies, every single one.
And they fed till they were like 5, not even 5. I wouldn't say 5.
I
feel like I'm on the Grown Ups movie. But it felt like forever. And
that's the movie. That's the movie where he's like, "Is your kid still breastfeeding?" He's like,
yeah.
How old is it? He's like 48 months.
Yeah. Carrie hates that movie, so we're gonna edit this part out of the show, okay?
But there's so many beautiful things about breast milk, and I know I'm not gonna say it's the same as cow milk, but all of the very those processes and the natural availability of it, and you only get that for a certain amount of time.
Well, the
concept's the same, but
that's what I was saying. Why stop? If we have the opportunity with raw milk from cows or goats, it's a no-brainer. Keep going.
And if you just had some more farms with like 17 cows that had names,
well, yeah,
I would you could go meet the cows.
I would recommend to you guys realmilk.com, and I can send it to you guys later on. But it's by the Weston A. Price Foundation. They're doing a great job by giving good propaganda for raw milk and actual resources, information, and whatnot. So I would definitely highly recommend that. So
what's funny is, like, I'm not sitting here checking my tweets by any stretch of imagination. I was actually looking for
that guy's name.
No, not his name. The website he set up. It's
called, a farm share.
Are you guys on Farm Match? I think it's called Farm Match.
Yeah, you need to be on that.
No, I'm not.
Literally, you need to get on.
Yeah, so it's a listing of local
for raw milk,
like family-owned small farms, and so people that want natural, close to the earth products.
Farm Match.
I think it's Farm Match. Okay. Now I'm gonna.
It's like he actually pair you with where you're close to.
Yeah. So that's essentially what realmilk.com does as well.
I was thinking too. You can't see that with the light.
Wow, this is like, hold on. Now I have to put it on the.
Put it on the thing.
Okay, so while I look that up, what other
other products?
Products that you.
Okay, so mainly our we're leading in our forefront is raw milk. And then the byproducts coming from that, or by the other services that we provide, we've put so much time and effort and energy into raw milk that everything else has kind of been on the wayside. But in the future, we're going to gear back up our beef production. Yep, Farm Match.
Yeah, I love that it says I didn't know it said decentralized.
Decentralized.
This is your place, my friend.
Yeah. What? What? Okay.
You need to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go. All right, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. Okay.
Sorry, we interrupted your role.
No, yeah, no, that was I totally lost where I was at now. Beef. Oh yeah, so then beef, and then we have in terms of, and that's regenerative, or under the style of regenerative. As far as the spring and winter time goes, we rotate all of our cows, cattle, dairy cows between different pastures. In the winter, we consolidate to a sacrifice pen or a pasture paddock, if you will, because otherwise our actual good pastures get destroyed from the muck that is Michigan winters.
Do you love Yellowstone? Because they changed pastures in Yellowstone.
Oh my God.
I've never seen it.
Seen it. Oh, he just said he doesn't watch TV.
No, hold on. This man works for a living. Okay?
Right.
We watch Yellowstone. He and Carrie at like 5 o'clock in the morning are out.
I know.
We're actually doing it.
No, they changed pastures. That's how I know it.
Yeah. No, but I've heard good things about the show.
Yeah.
So
They don't. Did they name their? I don't think they named their cows.
No,
They're not on the
they
same
do
level as you, my friend.
No.
That's all there is to it. You know what I was thinking about when we were talking about farming before? Who is the lady that Del had on, the one from India with the seeds and the GMOs?
Oh, have you ever heard of Vandana Shiva?
Vandana Shiva. No.
Yeah,
she is a rock star.
Yeah, so
rock star.
This is the other end of the ag spectrum. So I don't know how far you get into it. I know we interrupted you in terms of
talking
about the process.
I interrupted you guys too.
And I just asked questions.
So I mean, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Monsanto and that whole grift with the genetically modified seeds and things like that, and how
Monsanto.
They essentially pollute other people's crops, and then they sue.
And it goes from crop to crop
based off of IP bullshit, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
So that being said, Vandana Shiva is a woman that started a resistance movement in India, where this became prevalent in India before it ever even really kind of like got up to full speed in the US. And if you remember, I think it was like maybe like 10, 15 years ago. Do you remember there was like a rash of like suicides of like Indian farmers? And it was because there's a, as with most farmers, there is a deep kind of like connection to the land, and there's also kind of like a how should I put it, like an honor system that's based off of like, you know, whether or not you can cultivate the land and produce food. Well, they were essentially strong-armed into using Monsanto seeds, and what would happen is under certain circumstances the seeds would grow extremely well, but as soon as you got outside of those, the seeds would just the crop would completely die off, right? And so you went through these kind of like feast or famine, literally growing cycles, and a lot of these farmers were so indebted because Monsanto was essentially putting them into almost like indentured servitude to use these seeds, that if the crop failed, they were basically bankrupt and they lost everything, and they would essentially self-delete. And so she started a heirloom seed banking nonprofit.
So fucking
that's
so
banks
cool.
Seeds that are essentially hardy seeds, so they're resistant the same way that Monsanto is trying to tell you that their seeds are resistant to like certain disease and things like that.
Right.
But you know, she's kind of like fighting back as far as that kind of like large ag pressure goes, because I mean, you know, you could imagine like the United States is kind of not grown past it, but the United States is a little bit more of a mixed economy associated with the different industries. I mean, like India is like 75% agricultural right now, you know?
Right.
So like, does that end up affecting you guys? I mean, as far as like the kind of like the genetically modified shit?
Not. I mean, yes, it affects us tremendously. It's why we do what we do. But we are purposeful and intentional, trying to navigate away from any and all of that. Unfortunately, we're subject to it because it surrounds us. It's everywhere around us.
It's like in the air and seeding places,
right. It's in the air.
Your cows are eating that, and you have no fucking.
I know. Yeah. It pisses me off to know.
This is your sister on another continent. She's the one.
Right.
Right. You gotta look at her, and she's a rock star when she speaks. Like you're like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, we stay. No, you're fine. Anything and everything we do, we try to make sure that it's non-GMO, and specifically, I try to stay with the butterfly. So the butterfly, non-GMO, project verified. They are pretty good. I mean, every organization has their flaws, but as long as with proper research, we stay away from any mainstream commercial type of thing. We make our own feeds for our chickens. It's our own, and we're getting ready to offer it and sell it in our store. But it's all non-GMO.
People have chickens in Michigan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so that's great.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it's not as popular in New Jersey, but here the backyard farmer is a little more common, or at least with chickens, backyard chicken keeper, chicken tender, if you will. But yeah, it's so yeah, we stay any way we can. We try to stay away from. Well, not even stay away from it. It's our motto. It's our lifeline to do the opposite and ensure that we are providing quality
the
products.
ungovernable part.
Ungovernable. We make sure it's our duty, it's our purpose. Anything and everything is the highest quality, and it's true purest form as best
That
as we
makes me
can.
so jealous that we're not in Michigan.
You know what just occurred to me? There's a lot of people that use the phrase like, beg forgiveness, don't ask for permission. And
Right.
whenever someone uses that in the future, I'm going to be like, I don't beg for forgiveness.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right.
Right. Like that's
No.
one of those things where it's like people are like, oh, okay, well, I'll just like bow down after my
After the
hands
fact.
get slapped or whatever.
No.
And I want to be like, people need to be like, all right, if you're gonna slap my hands, you better be ready to throw hands because
Let's go.
right, like this
Absolutely.
is not like this is not the way this was supposed to work out, right? Like,
Right. No, yeah, for sure. But again, that's why we're trying to get this message out there. By ourselves, we can only do so much.
Yeah.
But
So can I ask you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to ask, what other ways other than the farm in your home, like as a homeschooler, you're doing that 100%,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Are you unschooling or homeschooling? We're unschooling.
Yeah, unschooling. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that
Yep.
wonderful? I
Oh,
love
it's
it.
great. It's the best.
So how else in your personal life do you kind of, give it to the man? Is that the way to put it? Give it to the man.
No, you stick it to the man.
Give it to the man. Stick it to the man.
Stick it to the
That's an oddly particular question. I mean, anything and everything. Yeah.
Sorry.
Pour another one.
So how else? So like homeschooling and unschooling, 100% another way to do it. How
Yeah.
else do you kind of live that lifestyle?
I mean, anything and everything. It's kind of what leads us. Like as I've been saying, it's kind of how we are, or what we've grown to. Before the military, I had the rebellious spirit. My wife Carrie, she had that rebellious spirit, and then we were pushed into this cookie cutter that the military was, and we were really good at it. But then it got to a point where I don't know, you could see the writing on the wall, and I guess those barriers that were holding us started to the bolts started to pop off, and it wasn't the thing for us anymore. And ever since there, it's been, especially after deciding to leave the military, it's just been one rabbit hole or awakening moment from there. Ultimately, it started off. I mean, what really started us on this journey was we had our first son born at home. And from there on out, it's been nothing but questioning and
like 100% home birth.
100% home birth. Every single child ever since our firstborn son, they have all been born in home at the home.
Incredible.
So that's 5 kids all at home.
You wish we could have done that. And in New Jersey, they're trying to fight the midwife.
Yeah. Well, we
I can't
had
even believe this is happening. Like
yeah, we had one of our let's see, our second her name's Ocean. We had her born in New Jersey. She was born at home or in the house in New Jersey while we lived there.
New Jersey has been good because you've always been able to have home births. I mean, listen, I had to have C-sections. If I had been home birth, I probably would have died. So would my daughter. But like,
right.
And then after that, they just C-section you up. And then we had 2 kids. And on the third one, I went to the doctor for a checkup. And he's like, oh, you have no scar tissue. You could have a 3rd kid, right? So I go back to Matt. I'm like, and I go to this thing and I see this thing about one of the midwives. And I said, can you have a VBAC after 2 C-sections? And she's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we got pregnant in like 3 days, right?
There you go.
3 days.
4 days, 5 days,
Wait.
whenever. It was close.
That's
One day, yeah.
The day after I found out, fucking New Jersey stopped giving VBACs after 2 C-sections, and it made it illegal.
Oh wow. Okay.
But like they have had a very strong midwife community here in New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
And now they're trying to take that away. Right now, it's a law that they're trying to change.
This is actually a really strange dynamic, and I would love to like ask how things are playing out in Michigan, because I know Michigan is probably similar in certain ways to New Jersey and a lot of the other states that where kind of like large cities dominate your statewide kind of politics. Yeah. And then I would imagine your local politics is a little bit more, dare I say, conservative or whatever, but you know, fit it into your preferred spectrum wherever you want. Right. But New Jersey, what's really odd about New Jersey is we've had tons of people that have been in this kind of like medical freedom, kind of
homeschool, best
pure, to homeschool, purist healthcare, free homeschool kind of environment. And now all of a sudden the same people that were like in that realm like voted for people that are now essentially cracking down on what philosophically they held like very closely to like their core beliefs. And it's
well, it's like one day they'll come for the homeschooling again in New Jersey, and that's going to be the day we move. That's going to be like you could move. I'll never mind. So anyway, he wants me to take the 3 kids.
The best line I ever heard in my entire life was like, you just got to figure out which dog is the Tannerite. But anyway,
right, absolutely.
You have to explain that to me. You know what he's talking about?
Right. Oh yeah. Of course. I mean, no, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah. In Minecraft.
Absolutely. Right.
No, I mean, what is it like in Michigan? Because I know that you all have, I know Magnus and a couple of the guys that are fans of the Igloo that live out there and stuff like that. So, right. I mean, like, how does that play out politically in terms of, what you have to deal with, or just kind of like the family environment that's out there?
We have not had any issues here in Michigan for home birthing.
That's nice.
It's a very friendly home birth state. But I think what helps us, if you will, and I don't even know if that's the right word, but we're pretty heavily populated Amish community or state. So we have that kind of side to things where regardless, midwifery has to exist in a sense.
What is the homeschool environment?
Can we get some Amish into West Jersey? How do we get Amish into West Jersey? That would be
you should. Oh no, it's in Pennsylvania. Yeah,
they're definitely in Eastern PA, but
they're definitely close. But what are the laws for homeschooling in Michigan? Do you have to do through school or do a curriculum or testing?
I won't want to. I don't want. That's more Carrie's spot. But I know as far as I don't think you have to report anything. And this is me being just paraphrasing, I believe, but I don't think you have to report anything. And as far as there's not even really a curriculum that you have to follow. I just think, and I think the requirement is that just to be able to test out on a GED or whatever the language is or lingo is. But aside from that, they're very friendly, and homeschool and midwifery or home births are actually surprisingly
popular,
very, very friendly and very open.
That's refreshing.
Are you anywhere near Ann Arbor?
Ish. Not. I mean, we're right.
I just happened to talk to a friend who had moved up there, and I'm like, "Where are you in Michigan?" She's like, "Ann Arbor."
Yeah. So what Michiganders like to do, they do the mitten. So over on the one side there, you got Detroit. On the other side, you got like Saugatuck and Holland and stuff. But we're like in the middle. We're the Hastings Dowling area. We're in the middle of everything.
Okay.
So it's not. I don't know.
Like the palm chakra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Right. Yeah. We are right in there. Right in there.
I love it.
Yeah.
I've interrupted enough.
No, you're okay. We got to get some Amish into New Jersey because apparently that's the
key.
That's the
you guys.
Amos Miller.
You guys need to get
time where he is.
Yeah,
you guys need to get the hell out of Jersey and come over here to Michigan.
So the beautiful thing about Jersey is the homeschooling has nothing.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the only thing that's really kind of
keeps us here.
Well, I mean, there's other minor things, but the biggest component of it is that
you don't have to register.
So
you don't have to do anything.
We looked at other
states. Do that here either, right?
We looked at other states at like Idaho, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire sucks, and you think it's good.
New Hampshire, they're oh, you have to report your children to a school to let them know that you're going to be homeschooling.
Isn't that crazy that the state thinks they can just parent your child through an education?
And when I learned that, I was like, New Jersey, like the boards of education in New Jersey don't even know my kids exist right now.
Don't even know.
And that's the way I want it, right? Like
how it should be. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's so fun. You know what? I don't know. I feel like it started really bad with Hillary Clinton, maybe Bill Clinton. This whole like take it takes a village to raise it. Wasn't she the one who came out with that? It takes a village to raise a child, and by village she meant the government.
By village she meant village she meant unionized. She meant village.
Like a huge. She didn't mean like your neighbors, so you could have a date night.
Anytime Clintons are mentioned, you already know it's bad news. So.
I just know that in her campaign, it was this creepy ass video. About talking about how it takes the village of government basically to parent a child.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Fucking scary.
Yeah, for real.
Dude,
again, come to Michigan.
Question. Yeah, right. Come to Michigan.
Come to Michigan.
So, are you very holistic as a parent? Like, do you vaccinate or do any of that stuff? I imagine you don't.
Absolutely freaking not. No way.
You should listen to the Wire.
Oh man. You're going to get me. I'm going to get triggered here. No, so our son was the last one that before we woke up, he was the last one that we had vaxxed. And then from there, we don't. On the low, none of our kids see any routine or medical visits or anything like that. So, it's, I can't. Vaccines just trigger the shit out of me. So,
believe me, we're the same.
Yeah, and I was a dumbass, and I just volunteered myself for cattle roundups. Yeah, and I didn't know I had any choice, and I'm thankful I came through on the other side of that one. So, yeah, none of our kids, nothing with our kids when they're born, they don't see a needle.
Fucking beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, it's how it's supposed to be. The concept of vaccines, I can get it. The design and how they're supposed to work makes sense, but the execution is just it's flawed. Yeah, the ingredients that they put in there
I'm wondering if the original vaccines I was never vaccinated, so I never had I never was vaccinated for a thing because my parents were super holistic. But I've never looked too much into those original ones for the kids in the 70s and 80s. But I know like once the 86 Act came, all of a sudden you had all kinds of shit in the vaccines. And talk about you can't have raw milk, but we're gonna say that you have to fucking put this shit in your body.
Exactly.
And it's these vaccines that are fucking ingredients that are killing.
It's not about health. It's not. Yeah. It's about money. It's about control. Right? It's that's why we're trying to do this. We're trying to get this out there because I can have canine DNA injected into my body, but I can't have
aluminum. Almost everything.
It's everything.
It's a common theme that we talk about where it's basically the further away that you get from nature, the worse it gets, right? Like
absolutely.
the more imbalanced things get, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a natural balance that's created through just existing on this planet. Absolutely. And there are people that constantly try and tip that balance.
That shit.
Right.
And they drank milk on Little House on the Prairie.
Well,
that was a long time ago.
We watched that show. We watched that.
Yeah.
That shit as a kid.
That's the best show. We watched House on the Prairie and we watched Dr. Pole. And that's it.
What?
Dr. Pole. He's a Michigan vet. We just watch it for educational purposes. And
wait, is it a woman?
No.
Oh, no, it's a man.
It's
Okay.
Dr. Pol.
Oh.
He's this Polish or from Finland.
I'm
I can't remember.
Polish.
Are you?
I
Oh,
know how
there
to
you go.
say "give me a kiss" in Polish. It's "daj mnie buzi,"
Yeah.
because
Daj me
my
buzi.
grandmother came here from Poland.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Daj me buzi.
Daj mnie buzi. You gotta
Yeah.
go with "nia."
Yeah.
Daj mnie buzi.
Yeah.
Buzi.
Okay.
Yeah. And funny enough, I don't remember it, but the two things that I was taught as a kid in Polish was "give me a glass of milk"
Really?
and "give me a kiss." Those are the only two things I
That
ever.
sounds very demanding.
Right. Well,
Our
I'll
Polish
let him
people
handle the kiss, and I can give you raw milk. How about that?
The trucking vaccines, though, it's so crazy to think in your mind the government won't let you have a product that's so natural, that's been done for so long, and I may not drink it, but other people want it, and it can be so helpful, right?
Right.
And
right.
yet they'll fucking mandate
Yeah.
a vaccine that they don't even have true safety fucking studies for.
Oh no, it's all
crazy.
again. It's all
What are you looking at me
manufactured.
You're
I drank a lot.
the poor the poor man is watching you sin real time by saying the F word.
I don't mind it. I'm trying to be
sorry.
professional. That's all.
Actually, that being said, this is an interesting transition because
I was thinking chemtrails, but you can do.
well, no, I'll give you the option. I'll give you the option.
It's like a multiple choice.
We can talk about chemtrails, or we can talk about spirituality, religion. Which would you prefer?
Oh, they're both good, but
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably
chemtrails from the idea of GMOs and going, you can't make sure that a GMO's crop doesn't land in your farm kind of thing. And then I was like, oh, I wonder what your idea.
All right,
chemtrails.
let's start with this because it's an easier introduction. So, we were actually presented with an interesting opinion recently that I'm a big fan of Occam's razor. All things remaining equal, the most kind of simple and logical explanation is typically what ends up being true, right?
Okay.
And so a lot of people have made a big deal out of things like chemtrails and contrails and all this other stuff, right? And there's obviously something coming out of the tailpipe, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We know that because it's basically an internal combustion engine. We know if we sit in traffic that stuff comes out of the tailpipe, right? So there was a guy who basically laid out that there hadn't been any changes to airplane fuel in 30 or 40 years, right?
Right.
And so essentially what he was saying was he feels like it's a it's a psyop, or it's basically a red herring to have people chase after this idea of kind of cloud seeding and all this other stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And what people are missing is that the actual exhaust, regardless of whether or not it causes the trail or not, the actual exhaust is spewing heavy metals into the environment.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Right. So is this something that you follow? Where do you fall as far as
we're always talking about chemtrails.
Yeah, so I mean, there is not a rabbit hole that I have not gone down, and if there is one, I am prepping and getting ready to go
quickly
down
before I'm giving you your next dark black hole is human design 2027. But go ahead.
Human design. Okay. I think I have looked into that.
What? Go ahead.
Where was I? Chemtrails.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to, again, like you were saying, I like to stay neutral until I have more information. And with my truth detector and my ability to dig into things and research things, I mean, I am convinced that and just because even in the nature of what government is, they literally exist to suppress us and control us.
Well, yes.
Isn't that the ultimate Occam's razor?
But anyway,
right?
Finish your thought first.
Right.
Yeah. So and then if you want to be particular, we have the claim that chemtrails are that they exist, but then to prove it or back it up. If you look at patents, if you look at personal accounts, pictures, images inside of airplanes or aircrafts that are actually spraying or shown to be spraying type of chemicals. I mean, you can't really stay on the fence or in the middle for very long. And that's kind of where I have certainly shifted. And like you said, cloud seeding. Again, there's a patent for cloud seeding. There's patents for particular chemicals for chemtrails.
Yeah.
You can't really deny it. Whether you can't really prove it, but to say that they're not doing it is kind of foolish, I would say.
Yeah. There was actually was it last year? I think it was last year. There was a bill that essentially like authorized research on like climate manipulation.
Right?
Oh
yeah, right.
And a lot of the people that we follow were essentially, and I agree with this across the board, is when government typically like authorizes something like that, that means they're already doing.
They're just
they've
been doing it for a while,
right?
Absolutely.
And they figure out there's some teeth to it, and now they want to go further with it, and so now they need it to be official on the record that they're actually going to be doing this stuff.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
And so whether it be, I feel like Lysander Spooner, whether it be one thing or the other, right? Like whether it be chemtrails or it be other experiments that are targeted towards climate manipulation, it
which
makes
is so far
sense
from nature, which is what you were talking about before.
Well, yes,
that balance of nature.
It's anti-nature, and it would not surprise me if they're passing funding bills and regulations that make it okay to do this research on stuff that they've already been working on. Right?
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
I mean, for decades, they've been shooting rock salt into. Have you ever heard about this one?
Is this the India thing where
have
they
you heard about this?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So they've been like the original form of cloud seeding was rock salt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they would essentially almost like someone would like load rock salt into a shotgun. Right.
Mm-hmm.
They would essentially just do it on a grander scale, and they would shoot it up into the clouds and see if they couldn't cause rain. Right.
Yeah. Well,
it is interesting. For those who are in New Jersey, we have tons of chemtrails. Do you have a lot in Michigan?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm going to start because there's an initiative with my Holistic Moms group to get some shit done in the government about chemtrails. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I put my district in and I said I would help. But
there you go.
I'm going to start keeping a journal of like when I see chemtrails and what the weather shifts are, because a lot of them talk about when they, I haven't done it, but they talk about when you see a lot of chemtrails, often you have an unexpected rain. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have to do it myself. I'd have to I haven't paid enough attention. And I also feel like here in Northern New Jersey, like where we are, we don't have them as much as Central Jersey seems to have them all the time. Because I'll see pictures of chemtrails in Central Jersey and I'll be like, my sky is blue right here.
Well, that would make sense because Central Jersey doesn't exist. Apparently.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, right.
It's like the Ohio of New Jersey.
Right, absolutely. There's only the boardwalk and that's it, right?
But as a farmer, I mean, is that something that you work again, like actively talk about? Because, you know,
oh yeah, absolutely.
All of that being the animals on the, you know, pastures and.
Yeah, I mean, with whether it's rumor or whether it be actual research that's showing it that they're trying to, I believe, they're trying to target animals. They want to eliminate, in some form or capacity, eliminate our ability to take care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And if you look at, there's people out there that are actually doing detective work out there, if you will. I was watching a video where people are putting out like panes of glass or whatever, it's like PVC plastic pieces, and then observing and obtaining samples from the particles that are falling onto these pieces of glass or on their greenhouses or so on and so forth. So, I mean, it's happening. But to what scale or what degree or what it is, I cannot personally confirm per se. So, but I think it's happening. For sure. There's no way, especially like you see all the memes that are floating around right now, like what clouds used to look like when we were kids.
And you're like, they're streaking across the fucking sky.
Right, absolutely, right. So there is something going on, and
I'm sorry, am I not supposed to? He hates when I curse. I can't help
it. You've reached your quota.
Let her rip. I'm all for it. I'm just trying to. I mean, I'm representing the farm here, so I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
If it was just Mike here, I'd be dropping F-bombs with you. So.
But I mean, it's so true. You look at when I was a kid and I looked up at the sky in New Jersey. Anytime, I did not see what we see now. No, and you can't tell me the environment has changed and shifted that much that all of a sudden we're seeing that shit in the sky.
Right,
and
absolutely.
And it's more normal and natural. But right. I mean, you know what? It's hard. Many people don't believe in chemtrails. I keep seeing more and more people talking about them.
It would actually, again, regardless of whether or not it's like intentional or if it's just government picking winners and losers like they typically do as well, right? I mean, most airlines are only in business because the government bailed them out, right?
Yeah,
like airlines just run piss poor business models. The regulatory environment is designed for them to be dependent upon government, and so it's like this. I mean, airlines are essentially the government controlled utility that no one really realizes is actually a utility company, right? And so it wouldn't surprise me if,
they used it.
If they were either using it or both are true, where, these planes are basically spewing heavy metals out and they're not holding them to task because they know if they did that the companies wouldn't be able to operate, right? Like, I mean, it's I would draw a parallel to the hypocrisy of like EPA violations when it comes to certain industries, because most industries just look at it as the cost of doing business, right? And that idea that like, oh, we're making things more environmentally friendly, and you're like, no, it's the equivalent of a speeding ticket. All you're doing is raising funds. Like, you're not really keeping people safe.
That's like the whole OSHA thing during COVID.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the illusion
that we actually
health and safety.
Safe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Just put 3 masks on. You're all good.
Right. Yeah. Double mask, triple mask. You'll be okay. Right. Well, and that's it. I mean, the sums it up for me. If the government is involved, then it's bad news. So if any way, shape, or form, if government has their hands in the cookie jar, if they have an iron in the pot, it's not good.
Okay, this brings me to the spirituality, because I saw today, and it was your friend who posted the meme.
Yeah, which one?
And it was a quarter, and they said you have to be wary of what the government's doing, because on the quarter before, the face of Washington was facing "In God We Trust," and on the second quarter, he's looking away and facing, and his back is to "In God We Trust."
Absolutely, right.
I feel like that was a bridge.
Right? All right,
that was a good bridge.
Yeah, that's true. All right, that's very true.
I want to hear your opinion on this one, and then I'll give mine. So you go ahead.
I mean, other than what she stated, I've seen that, I've read into that, I've seen that it's true. At least for that, he used to be facing the "In God We Trust," and now right, exactly. Whether it's intentional or not, but I mean, symbology, or what's the line in Boondock Saints? What's the symbolism of, or whatever? Yeah, right. So yeah, I don't know as far as behind all that, but
I mean, me personally, I don't care which direction George Washington or Lincoln or any of the other dead tyrants are facing. What I care about is whether or not that money actually has silver in it anymore.
Right.
Most certainly fucking doesn't.
And it doesn't.
Which makes it not money, right?
Right. Absolutely. It's all monopoly money. Like it's all bullshit anyways.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good question. Do you guys do business in mostly fiat currency, or are you also kind of like a Bitcoin type operation?
So I've looked into alternatives, and it just logistics wise, it does not really make sense on the grand scheme. Really, we're just cash only. It's only hard cash, and that's it. No card, no
That's
no
a good
plastic.
way to be. Cash.
Yeah, that's it. Cash is the way to go, and we're just prepping ourselves for the bartering system if and or when it
I'm
comes.
totally for so I don't really totally get Bitcoin because I'm like, I get bartering though, 100%.
Yeah.
Like the way Shane Hazel put it, I understood Bitcoin. It was like a rebel move.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be part of that revolution.
Yeah. But
I have my little Hive coins.
Right.
But I love the idea of bartering.
No, barter's fantastic. Barter predates currency.
Yeah, absolutely.
As it should be. That's the Occam's razor thing again.
Yeah.
It's so simple. I need this, you need that.
So are you actively involved in barter right now? I mean, are there people that are basically, trading other types of goods?
Yeah, when it comes up, we do it. One of the Hershey members just a little bit ago, we had to upgrade our fridge or one of our freezers. And we're like, so, I got this thing, you got this thing, let's make it happen. Yeah. And for like 4 months or something or whatever it was, we traded milk for the freezer. So I mean, it's definitely that's I know it's something we're down. We agree too. But I mean, it goes down to it. Like I just said, like cash is the closest we're gonna get to some type of currency. But even still, it's all bullshit. It's make believe. It's monopoly money. And like again, if we're just preparing ourselves again for if and or when bartering comes back or whatever type of system that makes more sense comes into play.
And if the healthcare system falls and they're bartering with raw milk, might be very lucrative.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it already is.
Yeah. If people aren't going for their instant gratification and they're really looking to heal the problems instead of like put the Band-Aid on.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll change your life. I mean, I'm sorry you guys don't drink it, but it'll change your life.
We did though, and I very much enjoyed it.
I can tell you as a coffee drinker, you don't need creamer, right? Like milk. You just man, because raw milk is the actual full,
absolutely.
All of the components, right?
Right.
And I can remember just
and we eat such shit in our creamer, and every time we look for a new one, it fucking fails.
This is something I can tell you where you looked into this angle, right? The vast majority of people that say that they're like plant-based or vegan or something like that, they're eating
unless they're making it
manufactured.
Absolutely
crap. Like it's not.
It's
food.
Straight up crap. It's. And not that it's not just food, it is loaded and laden with pesticides and glyphosate that it's past like, even though I don't agree with the FDA as being a standard measure, but even past the allowable limit for people to consume. And it's loaded in those types of foods.
Because factory farm shit you get in the restaurants is just as bad in a lot.
Oh, right.
No. You're preaching to the choir on that.
Yeah.
One. Go ahead. I'll let you respond.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the antibiotics and all that shit they give on the meat.
Exactly. I only say that because people normally the conversations I have is in the contrast of like, oh, I don't want to eat meat because or XYZ. And then they only vegans because they want to, again, for whatever set reasons. But that is usually what comes up is that you're not eating healthier foods. I mean, honestly, the most bioavailable, the best you can do in what we have, and thankful to the creator is being able to eat meat. Meat is the most bioavailable nutrient, dense nutrient that we can consume. And then everything else is just imitators or trying to fill a box in that category. So, and I mean, and that's not just my personal claim. I mean, that comes from many different types of studies and research and people. I mean, it's a blanket statement, so I don't like to make it because I think ultimately people's nutrition comes down to blood types. If you go down that rabbit
hole. I think people do, but see, we're both A positive, which is the natural vegetarian, and good with fasting.
Okay, right,
but I think when I think of the argument, because I have let my son start eating meat, particularly because I think he wasn't getting what he needed, and he kept wanting this Beyond Meat. And then I started looking into it, and I was like,
"That's so bad.
Shit, that's just shit."
Mm.
And
Oh,
it's
it's
like,
so
you know
bad.
what? You're almost better off just eating a burger in a local restaurant. I would prefer it to come from a farm that's organic. We have Backer Farm in Mendham, which is awesome. They're like an organic farm.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
they don't do dairy.
I see. Okay.
But like, so I would much rather, and a vegan diet can be super healthy if you're actually making your own food. But when you're going and getting all of this food that's pre-made or pre-designed, right, or already, and has all kinds of preservatives and stuff in it, it doesn't become any healthier.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and but then at the end of the day, I mean, each person is different, and you have to curtail your diet to you.
Exactly why we started letting my son eat more, because I'm like, he's missing something.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But you can't deny that meat is, again, like I said, it's just a absolute superfood, and in some way, shape, or form, it should be in, whether how large or how small, it should be in people's diets for sure. I am mostly carnivore. I really stick pretty hardcore to carnivore, and it does great. I eat basically nothing but from what we produce here on the farm.
And see, now you know everything that's going into this. So someone who's a carnivore who's having their shit from like fast food or restaurants.
Yeah.
Anyone
who's like, I'm carnivore, and they get a burger from McDonald's. Like,
that's not
Oh,
it.
don't even start me on McDonald's.
No, you're not.
Oh my gosh.
And so like, that's the thing, is I think in the end you say, is this real food?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Whatever
You
that
just
real
have
food
to
is for you, that you're grossed out by or don't want to have or do want to have, right? Is it real though? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
A lot of vegans use like lentils, which is like one of my favorite things to cook with.
Okay.
And it's
we went down that road before.
Delicious.
Yeah.
when you actually get your fresh ingredient. Instant pots are awesome.
Oh yeah,
I'll say that.
Instant pots.
Yeah. You're like, there's
Instant
the
pots.
most.
Right, absolutely right.
Yeah. Yep. So that was, is it real food? And if you go to your local farms, your local dairy farms, your local meat farms, whatever it
yourself.
is,
grow it yourself.
Like, no,
Raise it
or
yourself.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to have a cow in the backyard.
You could. You could.
They'd let us.
We have a fenced.
They say no chickens, but what do you think they'd say to a cow?
We have a fenced-in yard. We could get like a mini, like, what are they? The
little mini cows.
Goat. You could get a goat.
Or you could get goats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Dude, I would love to have goats.
But not chicken. They eat the ticks.
They eat
and
ticks.
in Jersey, the ticks are what kill you.
God. How is the tick Lyme disease situation up there?
Ticks are pretty bad up here in Michigan. Yeah, for sure. They are weaponized 100%. But
yeah, that bioweapon that is
Lyme
Lyme
disease. We were talking about that with Hazel and the fucking Lyme Island or whatever that was.
Right.
We were supposed to move from "In God We Trust" from something to spirituality.
But hold on, we're still going down the
conspiracies.
No, we're still going down the food pipeline here. All right.
Food pipeline.
Let me ask you this. So this is also interesting. So do you have like dogs or pets at all, like cats or?
Yeah, we have actually a lot of dogs. We have livestock guardian dogs, and then a few mixture of everything, like German shepherds. And then what we have also is King shepherds, which is a mix of a German shepherd and a Great Pyrenees put together.
Okay.
So we have a few of them that are quite a few.
What kind of diet do you feed them?
Wait, hold on. Do the dogs like the cows and the cows like the dogs? Are they friends?
With our Great Pyrenees, our livestock guardians, we have an iffy relationship.
Because they have to control them.
The problem is our mostly like our herd sire bull, kind of him and the male GP, they kind of go head to head and they kind of fight with each other. So our GPs are mostly with our sheep, and they stick with our sheep and rock and roll with them. But as far, I forgot what your question was.
Wait a minute, hold on. You had sheep. Did we know you? We didn't know you had sheep.
Yeah, I was trying to get to it. We didn't finish like an hour ago. No, you're fine.
What do you do with the sheep?
So if we do, mostly our sheep are for our lawnmowers. I made this little contraption, or multiple contraptions. You can see it. I think I posted on our Facebook. But it's like a mobile lawn mowing machine that I made and designed myself. Yeah. So we have a few of them, and I put the sheep in there, and they literally mow our lawn, and that's their main purpose. And then
I'm looking for.
I would have to. I probably
shear them and make organic cotton thread.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that knit and stuff.
We just had our class. One of our Herdshare members used to process and do things with wool. So we just had a course that we offered to some of our Herdshare members or people that we knew that were interested. And we did a wool processing class that we were able to.
Yeah, because you have pictures on your website of the sheep, and we're just looking at them.
I have to go ahead and share this. This is freaking adorable. Hold on.
Oh my god!
I would assume that's Carrie.
Oh yeah, that's Carrie. Yeah, and that is that is one of our Great Pyrenees, Odin.
So cute.
But yeah, if you see that contraption behind her or next to her, that is what we call the sheep sled, and it is.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It is, again, it's something that I made and designed, and it allows me to pull the sled and allow them to eat the grass in sections. Yep.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So the reason why I asked you the animal question was so we feed our dogs completely raw.
Right.
Even before oh god.
It's dark in here. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Even before we even really started to work any kind of like animal protein back into our diet, it was something that we were entertaining because I had dogs previously that I had fed raw, and they lived until they were like 18, 19 years old. Like
right.
Ridiculously long life. I mean, I'm talking about a Rottweiler that lived until he was like 19. And, you know, he basically ate completely raw. Do you guys feed a similar type of diet, almost kind of like I forget what the name of it is, but I mean, like ours is the BARF diet, the biologically available raw food kind of diet, which is essentially a predator-prey model.
Yeah, absolutely. So we used to be heavily into pigs. And then until recently, we got out of that and shifted and changed gears to this Herdshare, or all focus and energy went to the Herdshare. But now in one of those feeders, or not the feeders, those sleds, where we raise 2 pigs at a time, or going to start raising 2 pigs at a time now. And the pigs are mostly just for dog food. And that's it. So whatever the surplus is, we've either the dogs are fed through milk and like scraps possibly, but then mostly it's just it's pig or pork that they eat, all raw, straight up.
That is like the closest you get nose to tail.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a dog freezer, and like literally just the last time, it was not a couple weeks ago, me, my sons, we went and processed the pigs ourselves, cut them into primal cuts or chunks, and put them in the freezer, and that's what all the dogs get. So
that was we had like neighbors come over one day, and I had like we go to a meat packer to get our food, which is probably not great in terms of the quality, but
there's not a lot of options.
In terms of the bulk pricing, you can't go wrong with it as far as the dogs go, you know.
Right.
So we had the neighbor come over, and I was portioning out, a couple of cases or whatever. And we were like, oh yeah, we feed the dogs raw now. If you want anything for your dog, like we'll give you some. And I just like, I throw the dog like a chicken wing, and she's like, I like just chews it up like completely, right?
Yeah.
it's like it's one of those moments where most people don't think that that's even within the scope of reality, right? Because they don't live that life, right?
Right.
But I mean, you make do with what you have on hand, right? So it just makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, from time to time, if we run out of stuff, we'll feed kibble. But for the most part, they are getting whatever the surplus is from the farm.
They're happy dogs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're happy. They're thriving. They're doing well. They have their jobs. I mean, they're not by any means really pets per se, but they're farm dogs. They have a purpose.
We have a dog who's supposed to be a farm dog.
Wait, what?
No.
No.
She's a Catahoula leopard. She's supposed to be a farm dog.
Hold on, no. That's not true. Catahoula leopard dogs are
farm dogs,
bred to be hunting dogs because
they're farm dogs.
No, because they go into the bush after the hog, and they're brave, but they're also stupid. So
Mars is blind.
Yeah, they don't know enough to be afraid of the pig, right? And so like they're literally bred to be.
I thought they were farm dogs.
Some people might use them as farm dogs, but
they have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ours just uses it in circles.
Yeah.
Right.
That is interesting. So you use shepherds for the main herd, but you're basically using the Great Pyrenees for just the sheep. Is that that's the way it goes?
Just the sheep. What originated as we used to breed the Great Pyrenees, but then the Great Pyrenees market and just the overall community of Great Pyrenees got really flooded. So we stopped breeding them, and they were meant to be for our goats, but we got out of goats. And then after we tried them with cows, we tried them with the chickens. And so far, the best thing that they've done, which, no brainer, it's what they were designed to do. We have them with the sheep. So
is it just that kind of like territoriality? Like, is that the issue, or?
I mean, I think it's multiple factors. You're dealing with personalities, and that's what people fail to realize. But for the most part, it comes natural for guardianship with livestock, for livestock guardians. But what we've seen is that each different type of animal does well with different types of livestock. So some of our GPs were good with chickens, some weren't. We had to find that out the hard way. And
what's the line? You don't want any egg sucking dogs, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. That
was like a TikTok thing where people gave their dogs an egg to see if they would bite it.
No, wait, hold on. History existed before TikTok.
I'm just saying, I don't even have TikTok, but it was like.
This was actually I worked for of many things a company where they had tons of slogans and things like that, and that was one of the ones. It was they didn't want any egg sucking dogs because essentially the dog that got into the chicken coop and ate the eggs, right?
Had a good day.
Well, not just had a good day, but was then ruined in terms of doing its job protecting the chickens. Then it just wanted to get in and get the eggs.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's what we have definitely ran into that for sure. It's either eating chickens or eating eggs. So we've just given up entirely on having livestock guardians with chickens. Now for guardianship or for predator deterrence, we use a little Ryobi radio. We put it in the coop and we put that thing on blast, and that's the only thing we use.
You got to teach the roosters how to shoot a 22. That's
right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they made one small enough, I would try it. Yeah, for sure.
So you homeschool. Do you ever open up I know farms in New Jersey, they open up for farm camps for homeschoolers. Do you do that?
Yeah, we've looked into that, but it's just a liability issue that we always come back to. And what it comes down to, little Timmy just, he's running these city folks, and I say that loosely, but they just don't understand how to act or how to be on a farm
around animals.
And, they'll run and touch the fence and get electrocuted or scrape their knee, and then you have mom Karen that is just coming after us, cussing us out. When
on the farm, that's called a learning opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get in farm camp.
Yeah. We've looked into it. People have asked us, but it's not really, it's not something that we want to gear to. We like the learning aspect of it. Mm-hmm. We want to offer in the future, and more so, like I was saying, we want to offer classes and how to do things, community coming together voluntarily to learn something, to better yourself, to acquire knowledge, so on and so forth. That's more the lane and the direction that we want to go. Not so much farm camp. I mean, in a way, it could be like it. Like, well, ultimately, we want to have a building. Oh yeah, for adults and
farm camp for adults.
Yeah, exactly. we don't have to worry about as much liability, right? Yeah. But even still, it's like that's kind of where we are. Ultimately, what we see ourselves doing and encourage others to do, we want to have a building and a facility that'll allow us to host farmers markets, but also include people in the process of growing and raising their own food and how to do that. So like I said, we just held a class with who was led by one of our herd share members, but it included other members and people from our friends and from the community. And it was how to process wool and clean wool and so on and so forth. So it's things like that we want to get into. And then it doesn't necessarily have to stay with adults, but it can anybody and everyone that wants to learn. And
that's sexy too. I like that.
Well, well, it's something that also occurred to me was, and I was just thinking about kind of our conversation about money. We did a medical freedom event up here in New Jersey. We had a number of vendors, one of which was a vendor that sold raw milk products.
Yeah.
And they transacted in Monero. And if you're familiar with Monero, it's a privacy coin. And so it offers one of the best ways of completely anonymous transactions on either end of the transaction. And so that's also something that like maybe we can talk offline about too, because
absolutely right.
I could imagine, and it sounds like you have a little bit of a better environment in Michigan than we have in New Jersey.
That should be telling you something, guys.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. We were talking about moving, and she's like, I need 4 seasons. And I need
4 seasons.
And I was like, really? Like,
don't put me in the hot. I'm better off with the cold.
You can have it in Michigan.
And then vacation, but you know.
I don't know Michigan. So I was talking to my friend from Michigan, and I'm like, where are you? And she's like, Ann Arbor. I'm like, I feel like I've heard that before. And then I was like, I've never stepped foot in Michigan.
Well, I can tell you the main places that I know in Michigan is I know Upper Peninsula, right? Yep. And then then there's
Beautiful. Have you been to
Beautiful.
Michigan?
Then there's all the rich people that are on the other side of the water, right? Like right. And then you have basically Ann Arbor, Lansing, right?
Yep.
And
Lansing,
then,
right.
I mean, like I think that's the biggest. That's all I know about Michigan. Basically.
I know that Michigan was the home of the Michigan Women's Festival for very many years.
The Michigan Women's Festival,
and that shit's hot too. Yeah,
that's in the 90s where they used to burn their bras. Is that what they did?
So I could be talking wrong about the Women's Festival in Michigan, but it was like a singer-songwriter weekend. Amazing, like feminism kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so after a while, I think they're the ones that had the trans women coming, and they, I think, held them off from coming in because they felt that it was a safety issue for the women. I'm not sure, but they got all kinds of flack and they totally went under.
So now it's the Michigan Turf Festival.
No. I think they stopped doing it. This was years ago.
Right.
They got so much backlash for not allowing trans women in.
Yeah. Did they back down?
But they were like, you have to have a uterus and have a period and all that.
I mean, that's what makes a woman.
And so they got completely canceled. I mean, they might have come back again, but at one point they had all the major feminists there. They had a lot of lesbians. I mean, it was a very big,
right.
And it was, but it was a big place for women to celebrate being a woman, and it was known across the country.
Just for being in Michigan.
Well, you're not a woman. No, it was the Michigan Women's Festival.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have heard about it. You're not a woman.
Right.
But the women, you can only go if you're a woman. No men allowed.
Yeah.
And they have to take care of everything. They set up the bathrooms, the cooking, everything is done by the women. And that's kind of the point of it, right? Like, we're going to take care of each other, or it was. They got canceled because they wouldn't allow the trans women. I
mean, if you guys want more information on Michigan, let me know. I can help you out.
Poor Michael is like, what in the hell did you just talk about?
That was your TED Talk.
Ani DeFranco. I feel like Ani DeFranco went to Michigan, or Alex Olsen. That's the only thing I know about Michigan.
Michael's like, look, if we allow a bull into the crowd with the rest of the female cows, we got problems.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely. Right.
Well,
I mean, it's called a women's festival for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm a J.K. Rowling fan, and people would hate that about me, that I know probably, but I'm a J.K. Rowling. I think how she talked about that whole world of women and trans women hits home 100% for me.
Right. I mean, God made it very clear. We just had that in our.
He's looking at me weird.
We started off
We're talking Michigan.
I'm sorry.
Thread.
We're talking about
Michigan Women's Festival.
We're trying to learn about Michigan, and you ended up on J.K. Rowling and TERFs.
Harry Potter, bloody Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You love Harry Potter.
Are you saying I look like Ron Weasley? Is that what you're saying right now? Oh my goodness. What do you got against gingers? Oh my gosh.
Forest Mommy's tuning in. She's going, Michigan government's awful too. It's everywhere. We just have to ignore and comply.
Not comply.
Not comply. Sorry.
Bingo.
That was like.
And she's in Colorado, so she's also in the belly of the beast in Colorado.
Right, absolutely, right.
Similar dynamic. People who live in the real world, and then everyone else who lives in the cities in Colorado are basically at odds right now. I actually had, I would love your opinion on this one. I had a theory 2 years ago. More like we have to emancipate the cities.
Okay.
Like, let's just make them their own separate entities, right? And then literally everyone else kind of go about their business. I think life would be so much better if just city folk just did their own thing in their own
instead of
crappy corner of the world.
And
then everyone else was left to kind of their own devices.
That is Yellowstone.
Yeah.
I keep going back.
Oh my God.
I feel the vibes, but that's Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Yellowstone is.
How are the Ann Arbor and Lansing types in Michigan? Like, is it a similar, like, we're right next to New York City. Like, is it a similar dynamic?
I mean, you have your city slickers. I mean, total Billy Crystal, 100% all the way through and through. I mean, it is what it is. It's just a matter of ignorance. I mean, that's why one of our cows is named Almond, because people frequently ask us, like, does almond milk, or to make fun of them, if you will. It's,
Almond Brothers, because I heard almond.
I was thinking Almond Brothers too. Like, eat a peach, like.
Right. So I mean, it comes down to. People just don't know. I mean, especially in the country and how things are done. Life is way different. Yeah. And people are different too, for sure.
This is like the people who are like you and who, do the work in a good way, right? It's like you have this huge job of having to inform all these fucking people.
Right.
How many people go and eat a burger at their local restaurant and have no idea what factory farming is and what it does?
Oh man,
the percentage. And then you talk now, and that's probably more so available to them than what raw milk and pasteurized milk is.
Well, it's all of them. It's all of them. And that's why I am so glad to be here, because every single freaking one of them, you go down that strip of your main strip, whatever it is, every single restaurant, every single stop, has some way, shape, or form supporting and operates on factory farming.
Yeah.
You have the big ones like Chick-fil-A. They use and utilize Tyson. They just came out recently saying that they endorse and they use Tyson chicken. The way that Tyson treats their chickens,
ugh, I can't even.
We
watched all of those.
Count me out.
There was what was the documentary on Netflix that followed a lot of the chicken farmers, and essentially, I mean, it's basically slavery.
Oh
yeah, absolutely.
On the male chicken.
Well, no, not just the treatment of the chickens, the actual farmers themselves, right? Like, I mean, they're essentially modern day sharecroppers.
Right. Oh, right? And that's the thing. Even with fellow anarchists or people that are all gung ho about screw the government, screw the corporation, so on and so forth. I am not a proponent for voting in any way, shape, or form, but I highly believe that we need to vote with our dollars.
Yeah.
And that's what people fail to realize. They in one breath they're like, yeah, screw the system, but then they're paying into the system, and the system is going to continue to do what they're doing because you're paying them to do it. So, I mean, in any way, shape, or form, we have to pull away from it, and it's about being really it's about discipline, self-discipline. Even to this day, I just crave when I'm driving past something. I just crave it, but it's by design. Yeah. It's meant to make you want it, and you have to tell yourself no. And literally, like what we used to be told as kids, like we have that at home, you have to tell yourself that because you have, or you could, or should have the means or better way to feed yourself and fuel your machine, if you will.
Yeah.
What is that thing you sent me by text the other day with the dollar bills? That made me think of that.
What about the dollar bills?
You sent me something with the dollar bills about how your money.
He
sent me a great meme the other
day. This was another aspect of so like you were talking about accepting cash, right?
Yeah.
So there's
where you spend your money.
There's a misconception where people are like, oh, okay, well, I'll shop local, but I'll use my debit card or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is that every single time you swipe a debit card or a credit card, you're essentially either through you or through the purveyor, you're paying like 3.5% at least to Chase, Capital One, Bank of America, whatever, right? Whoever does the vendor processing. Right. And then if that continues where like you pay the purveyor and then the purveyor pays someone else and that person pays someone else, not only are you getting taxed before you ever get to spend that money, but then on top of that, all that money, whether or not you're trying to spend local or not, is exiting your local community. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the more times that money changes hands by digital means, the smaller the pot of money gets for the actual people that are doing this. So like, think about it this way, like, this is like a very charged topic, but like, food stamps, right? Like food stamps used to be literal paper, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's a digital like EBT card.
Yeah,
right?
It's a card, correct.
And there's a fee that gets charged every single time people use their food stamp card, right? For the digital transaction. Absolutely. And so before, it was actually a better system. Well, it was still a shitty system, but it was at least better because then the credit card companies weren't getting their VIG every single time someone swiped their card, right?
Right.
And this money just exits local communities like with ridiculous amounts of momentum. And like, I applaud you, like at least using cash. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that philosophically, like the Bitcoiners and stuff like that, are like, Bitcoin, that's the answer. There's still other answers, right? Like cash, gold, silver, trade. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I
misunderstood the meme.
Wait, you misunderstood the meme?
Well, no, for some reason. The idea that every time you do something and it takes a transaction, it makes your money less valuable. That's where my brain went.
Well, no.
Like that, every time that 3% is taken off for somewhere here or there or there or there, that dollar is worth less and less and less and less. In the sense of using your credit card, and then that paper dollar that's still in your wallet that you haven't used becomes less and less.
Well,
and
no,
less and less.
it's important.
That's how I saw it.
It's important in understanding how money stays within communities, right? And so if you go and buy raw milk from Michael and Carrie
for cash.
right?
Whoa, no buying.
Well, yes, yeah.
Sharing.
You're trying to get me swatted, dude?
Jeez.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry. Use the name in vain.
Yeah.
Why?
Sorry, so we are not.
Wait, hold on.
Oh,
Before we
okay.
get into that, so if you go and pay in cash to a local purveyor, right, that money stays between you and them, all right? But if you're paying digitally, every single time you pay digitally, you think you're keeping. Liberals are big for this, right?
In
like
the place.
shop local, and they go
Right.
use
Your
Apple Pay
percentage
or
is
swipe
going
their
to
bank
other
card or
places.
whatever. And you
Absolutely.
have to understand that,
I get
every
it.
single time you swipe, 3.5% leave,
3.5%. Yep.
and it goes to
But
Wall
also,
Street.
when that happens, you're also losing the value of the paper dollar.
Well, no.
It's not backed anymore. So
No.
it's not really.
The paper dollar is getting destroyed by other means. This is more so what's left.
Well, I get what you're saying. It's desensitized us to actual currency or using actual cash.
Yeah.
What to her point? Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, all right. She wanted to transition to spirituality. She had to go run upstairs to take care of the kids.
Okay.
But I kind of want like a little bit of an intro because this is something that we're really big on, because I think a lot of people over the last couple of years, they've kind of had their reality just destroyed.
Shaken.
Right? Yes, exactly. Right.
Right.
Whether it be institution or belief system or just kind of like the fabric of the life that they have,
right?
All of those assumptions have been obliterated.
Oh,
and in some cases they know why, some cases they don't know why. But I think a lot of people are now kind of like searching for that structure to replace what has been destroyed for them.
Yeah, right.
And so a lot of people go to religion, a lot of people go to spirituality, a lot of people fall by the wayside. Like, unfortunately, I think part of the reason why suicide is up recently doesn't just have to do with lockdowns and things like that. I think it literally has to do with the philosophical breakdown of what people depended on.
Right.
And then that's now gone, you know?
Yeah. Right.
How does your faith really kind of inform, I'll put politics second, inform how you kind of lead your life and your business, your family, you know, that kind of thing?
Okay. Yeah. So ultimately what it all comes down to is Christ is king, really, for us. We believe no king but Christ. And we say that, we not only say that, but we believe it, we profess it.
Would you consider yourself a Christian anarchist? Is that kind of like?
Yeah, I am, but I don't like the word Christian, if you will, just because of the legalistic. But if you had to put me in a box, I would say that's where I would fall. Definitely an anarcho-Christian, for certain. Again, but I don't like titles, or I don't like boxes. I don't like to be conformed to boxes. And I only say that to elaborate on is just, again, like I said, the legalistic aspect that's associated with Christianity, if you will. I'm a Christ follower. I believe in Christ. I believe that I believe he is Lord. I believe he is Savior, and lead my family as such. But as far as religion goes, I believe religion is man-made. I believe that through religion there is death, and nothing but death, and only life and true life and an everlasting life can come from Christ.
That is very interesting. I've heard a lot of people. So I was raised Baptist, right? Fire and brimstone.
Yep.
I was saved. I was baptized, right? I've heard tons of people, regardless of whether or not they come from, you know, the more kind of like Baptist, Southern Baptist, Protestant, Presbyterian, that kind of end of the spectrum, or even other faiths have begun to express this kind of like I don't know what to call it, like this religionless faith, where they don't necessarily put a name to it, right? They know the building blocks of it, but I mean, were you always church folk? I mean, like, how did that kind of like evolve?
No. Yeah. So I was born and raised Catholic. But then when of thinking age, when I was able to think for myself, I proclaimed the self-proclamation of being an atheist. So I was atheist for quite a long time, probably 15 years, I would say.
We have a very similar arc.
Yeah, absolutely right. And then old Carrie came into my life, and she was a believer. She was a common church folk. Went to church every Sunday in New Jersey, and meeting her, it came to the point where she said it was basically like an ultimatum where we were at in our relationship. She said it. We just revisited this, so it's fresh in my mind. But she said essentially that Christ and her faith were really important to her, and that I could not inhibit or try to deter her from practicing and doing as such, and that she highly encouraged me and invited me to be a part of it. At that time, I didn't want to, but I told her that I would try. So with a little bit of time and just trying it out, I had my conversion. I had my conversion moment. I accepted Christ as my Savior. I invited him into my heart to break me down, build me up, and shape me and form me how I wanted him to be. And then from there on out, it was kind of hitting the ground running, if you will. And it was what I was missing from. And I mean, I say I was atheist, but I mean, any atheist is really just somebody that's mad at God and kind of just trying to having a little temper tantrum. So really in hindsight, I think that's where I was at. Yeah. Just mad at God for whatever reason.
I can tell you that I had a very positive and negative experience with Christianity.
Right.
And so that pushed me into this very kind of like atheist, just rebellious. And what's funny is like my politics very much still has that slant to it.
Yep.
Something I've become painfully aware of, even in like especially in my own life, is that people have to have something that they're moving toward.
Yeah.
Right.
Faith, right?
And yeah, it's got to be a faith. It has to be a spirituality. It has to be something
outside of themselves.
And and in fact, like I don't know, it's like
say that, but in spirituality, it's also within yourself. So, and same with a lot of Christian.
Well, no, there's
also within this.
Yeah, there's like a there's a give and take, right? Like
yeah, absolutely.
It's like a meme, but like have you seen the meme that's where it's like guys thinking about the fall of Rome, like how often?
Oh yeah, right.
What's funny is like. I think about the fall of Rome quite often. Like, the denarius fell apart, and it's because they started shaving silver off the side of it, right? Like,
right.
I think about that all the time. But part of that is also going back to like the Stoics and that kind of like that kind of thinking, right?
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever read Marcus Aurelius and some of his writings. He made it a point to essentially say, and this was kind of like agnostic of him to say this. He was like, he would take time every single night to essentially think about his place within the universe and how vast the universe is and how small he was.
Right.
But at the same time, how amazing he was.
Right.
So it's like, I think a lot of people get stuck in these extremes, right? Like the atheist will tell you, well, the universe is extreme and you're an ant, so you're basically insignificant. Right?
Yeah, right.
And then other folks will kind of take the other slant where they're like, you are the entire universe, right? Like
Absolutely.
that's what you are, right? I love the duality that Marcus Aurelius talks about because it gives you a scope, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily kind of like black pill you to the point where it's like, all right, well, crap, I'm nothing. I might as well go out and rape and pillage and like, have no honor,
Absolutely. Right.
I feel like when I think about faith, just faith, like, because we're not fans of organized anything.
Absolutely not. Decentralized.
But I think like whether you believe in one religion or another, or you're spiritual, there's so many basic tenets of many, many, many religions in all different cultures that are very similar.
Absolutely.
And I think that like that thread is something that's interesting to follow. So as a homeschooling mom, at one point I started I don't know what I called it. I don't know if it was religions or spirituality. And I would get groups of homeschoolers and we would go to a temple or we would go to a mosque and then the next week we'd go to like, a Greek Orthodox place. And every time we would go and be really open about what this religion is. Like when we went to the mosque, we had to wear all kinds of stuff to go in and, and just this idea that kids aren't really given that, but what you do get to see, and because we would always have these open forums at the end where the kids could ask anything, and homeschool kids, so
they will literally ask anything.
They will. And and it was an open forum that I made sure was going to happen, so because they were seeing all of these different religions, so they could say, well, that I learned over here this. How does that sit with you? And we were kind of looking at those threads. We were kind of trying to follow the thread from one religion to the next without necessarily having to jump totally into that religion and their idiosyncrasies. That's not the word.
That could work. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but yeah. So I mean, I think in the end, it's that thread of, okay, but what holds it all together? And if you can get a sense of what that is, I think you're in really good space.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, what drew you to your faith? I mean, obviously your other half was a catalyst, right?
Right. Absolutely.
But really, what resonated with you? I mean, what were kind of like the main points that you were looking at that really kind of lit you up?
I mean, if I had to encapsulate it, just like the prodigal son aspect of it, if you're familiar with the parable. Like I said, I kind of felt like I was this temporary or tantruming toddler, if you will. And just the ability to be welcomed back, or if I ever was back, or if I even existed in the first place, but just to be allowed into his presence and open with open arms. I think that was just a draw. And then ultimately it's me realizing that long story long, me realizing that, at least for me, I believe that there's a creator. There has to be a creator. We can't be here by accident. So going from that, if there is a creator, then I am his creation. And just as a son needs a father, I think the same goes for God, or for Elohim, or Yeshua, or whatever you would call him, because by design I believe we're meant to have that figure in place, and I was missing that my whole life, if you will. So
how many of us are missing just father figures in general?
I had obviously I have my father, and respect to my father, but just in I didn't grow up like my wife did, not at all. She had this spiritual father, and I didn't have that. And then more so, I believe that we are in need of rescue. We can't do this by ourselves, and hence why I believe that Christ came once and then will come again to save us.
I would actually make the argument that, to your point, that things like the government and central authority interferes with that mother-father dynamic, right? Like,
by design.
regardless of whether you're talking about biology or you're talking spirituality, right? And kind of, spirit and soul. I would actually say that those centralized kind of authorities get in the way of the natural order of things.
Yeah.
Right?
Again, absolutely. But again, like I said, by design, if they can disrupt any part of that chain between the father, the mother, the son, the daughter, so on and so forth, and they've in some way, shape, or form, they've derailed and possibly changed or altered good future potential, or even I mean, history, if you will.
Yeah,
they can control.
What they don't want to compete for your faith, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Compete for your faith, and then
God.
they want, like you were alluding to, they want to be they want to be the godhead of the house.
This is totally off topic, but I had asked him earlier because it said regenerative farming on your thing. If you follow Dr. John Bush.
Dr. John Bush. No, that's not a name that sounds familiar.
You should get involved with Dr. John. Well, he does this whole regenerative farming thing.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Mushrooms, or is it the...
It's not just that. So his premise is essentially that factory farming, as well as other things, have essentially depleted the natural bacteria and nutrients within the soil.
Yeah.
And so he uses, or at least, I don't know if he runs farms or if he consults for them.
I think he consults.
But yeah, he uses things like mushrooms, cover crops.
Right. Rebuilding the soil.
Yeah, to bring back everything to its like order of balance.
And you can do that naturally with...
He's big on gut bacteria too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gut bacteria. Gut bacteria is the most, or one of the most important things. If you have a bad gut, a leaky gut, your pH is off, you are going to have other ailments and diseases and anything, or any type of the things like that along the lines. And people just don't realize it. With the simple, we are walking petri dishes essentially in our stomachs. We have cultures, we have bacteria. We need to feed and continue that bacteria, and because we don't do that, that's where all your modern day illnesses come from, with acid reflux and all the other whatever things like that can show its ugly face from. We need to address. That's the biggest thing. I'm all out, but that's where raw milk comes into play.
Not to mention the vaccines and the gut issues that come from the vaccines, and how many kids have been vaccinated, and the gut being a big part of it.
A lot of it comes down to balance, right? Like it's and this is a common theme that we come back to quite often as well, whether we're talking about spirituality or health, or just kind of like human to human interaction and that kind of thing. A lot of it boils down to balance and identifying what the natural balance is, right? Like those natural tendencies.
Right.
And so much of our life is, and I say our, I mean, like I'm hearing Lysander Spooner's voice in the back of my head, like there is no way, right?
Right.
So much of humanity in the Western world is impacted by intentional imbalance, right?
Right.
And so a lot of times we just kind of look through it from that lens, right? Like, so what are we doing right now? And is that leaning in the direction of what would be the natural balance of things, or are we swimming upstream, so to speak, right? Like, are we trying to fight against it, right? And I wish more people had that kind of frame of reference,
Well, even if you think about raw milk and stuff, that, and just the gut and balancing the gut, that's huge. Like,
absolutely,
the ability that raw milk has to like replenish the gut, for anyone who's dealing with vaccine injury, or who's dealing with the fallout from vaccines years later. I mean, it's something to consider. Doing that. Yeah. I feel like we've kept him on for so long, and his poor wife has like all.
Oh yeah.
How many kids do you have?
7 total.
You see,
Oh,
I'm thinking about her.
Wow, we didn't even talk about that. Oh my God.
Yeah, 7 total, and she even went to go milk too during this process.
What?
So
Oh my God. How old is the youngest?
The youngest is 1 year old. She's 1 year old.
Oh my God.
I feel like I'm gonna have to drive north and put in some hours to
more milk.
Right. Yeah.
to make good
I mean,
Carrie for this one.
you guys could move here, and then there you go.
All right. I agree with you.
I don't want to keep him
we've
any
kept
longer
Michael
with
so
the
long.
family.
So really quickly, I know we have a couple of links that we put in the description, but
Yeah,
where can people find more information about your farm and everything that you're working on?
So our most common platform is on Facebook. You can follow us on our Facebook profile. That is where I am. That's where I am most active. That's how I was able to find you guys. I was able to catch a few of your guys' live streams on Facebook. Aside from that, we have our website, copperheadhillfarms.com. And then also we have our Instagram, not as active on there, but it is, if Instagram is your forte, we are there as well.
Awesome. And you have some awesome pictures of the farm on your Facebook. We saw it when you pulled it up here before.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh
yep. Thank you. So yep. That's where I spend most of my time or my efforts or energies, trying to grow the Facebook. So
yeah.
If anyone needs like a Michael Malice white pill kind of moment, just go to Copperhead Hill Farms Facebook page and look up the photos and just check them out, because
you'll get it for sure. Absolutely.
Like they're uplifting. So
I feel like now we need to try raw milk again.
I feel like
not at that same fucking place. We'll go up to Michigan.
I feel like we're gonna go visit Michigan.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
Is it far?
Who cares?
We can take we homeschool. We can just fucking go, right?
Well, yeah,
that's it.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing. How far is Michigan?
I don't care. I'll drive over.
I can go visit a friend of mine up there in Ann Arbor.
All right. Well, it's gonna happen now.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Put it in the calendar. Let's do it.
It'll be the farm camp day for the kids.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But we won't. You don't have to worry about us.
Yeah.
If our kids touch that fence, we're like, you shouldn't have fucking touched it.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone tried to have that conversation with me the other day, and I was like, no, you don't understand. The way I raise my kids is I appeal to their intellect. And if that fails, then they learn a very important lesson. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
All right. With that, are we done?
That was wonderful. I feel like we need to let him go back to his
family. We're gonna let Michael go. You want me to play the AI generated theme song?
Yeah, but also, what were the two things we said? Farmmatch.com.
Oh, yeah. Farmmatch.com.
To find someone local to, or you said realmilk.com?
And
realmilk.com. Yeah, you can find.
Farm
it's
Match.
not just
so if
milk.
Something's not on Real Milk. They might be on Farm. Oh, you need to get on Farm Match. That was what it was.
I need to get on Farm Match. You guys need to check out Real Milk, and then anybody else listening to it, you can. It's not just that milk that you'll find on there. It'll have farms that do other things: chickens, sheep, whatever, what name you. So it's a really good resource for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, and to remember that all 17 of your cows are named, and that's really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to support that shit.
Yes,
I think so, and I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. All of us need to. We need to make that effort, do better, for sure.
And we're gonna have you on again sometime, or maybe we'll have Carrie on.
Carrie or both of us.
Yeah, double date.
You can no. They have to tag out.
Tag team.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
They. First of all, you're a fucking saint. I don't know how 7 kids.
That's what Carrie jokingly calls me St. Michael. So
you have a teenager, right? Or no?
Yeah, we have one 13-year-old.
Oh wow, our oldest is older than yours.
13 to 1.
You know what though? I've always heard once you have 3, it doesn't matter how many more you have. I've always heard that.
Basically,
because once they're at 4 and 5, like they pair up and have their own community.
Yeah. They
absolutely. Themselves. That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
you don't get voted off the island because
no, because they have animals.
My biggest concern,
cows and sheep.
My biggest concern was we would like have to do something, like accomplish something as a group, and I'd be like, okay, we're going in this direction, and just multiple children would just scatter in
Oh yeah.
We cannot get out of the house ever.
More times than not, it's like herding stray cats for sure. But you learn to deal with it, I guess.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. Carry on. That would be fun.
Yes. Yeah.
I would love to be back. I'd love to have her if she would. This is not really her thing, but if I can get her on here, I definitely will.
And then you've got to put those bootstraps on and deal with 7 kids.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
To anyone still watching, listening, reminder: go follow Copperhead Hill Farms on Facebook,
or Instagram,
at the very least, and then help us out too with the algo. As you can tell, we talk about a lot of stuff, and the algo doesn't like us. So a thumbs up.
I'm here for it, baby. I'm here for it.
Follow helps. So
well, thank you guys. If you don't mind, thank you for having me on this show. It was a pleasure to meet you guys in the digital realm, and thank you for letting me bump my gums and talk about us and talk with you guys. It was a pleasure and definitely an honor and a privilege. So thank you.
Ditto.
And originally Jersey.
Yes.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah, the Jersey.
Yeah, the wife is from Jersey. She's all about the Jersey. Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, have a very good evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Check on your mind. It's time to redefine. You're the spiritual quest, leaving the rest behind. Ungovernable, breaking through the status quo. We untamable, watch our spirit elevating consciousness. Yeah, we on the rise. No system can hold us down. We're reaching new heights, breaking through the chains, breaking through the wall. Ungovernable energy, watch the